The Zephyrian war cruiser Dominion hung in the void like a predator savoring its prize. In the detention bay, Commander Sarah Chen sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor of her cell, eyes closed in apparent meditation. To her captors, she appeared defeated, another human broken by the reality of galactic warfare. They had no idea how wrong they were. Admiral Kextar clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he observed the human through the reinforced viewing port. The insectoid alien's compound eyes glittered with triumph. After months of studying human military records, they had finally captured Earth's most decorated soldier. Commander Chen had single-handedly turned the tide in 3 major battles, her tactical brilliance legendary even among enemy forces. "The human female shows no signs of resistance," reported Captain Vorth, his scaled hide shimmering under the bay's harsh lighting. "Our intel was correct. Remove her from her pack, and even their best becomes docile." Kextar's mandibles clicked in agreement. Humans are pack animals. Isolate them and they lose their strength. This one will provide valuable intelligence about Earth's defenses. What they didn't know was that Sarah Chen wasn't Earth's best soldier. She was Earth's best bait. 3 days earlier, Sarah had volunteered for Operation Fishhook, the most dangerous gambit in human military history. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Allow the Zephyrians to capture someone they believed was invaluable, someone whose rescue would justify deploying their entire fleet. Sarah's decorated service record was real, but carefully crafted to paint her as irreplaceable. The truth was far more terrifying. As the Zephyrian fleet celebrated their prize, they failed to notice the microscopic nanobots Sarah had ingested before her capture. The self-replicating machines were now spreading through the ship's ventilation system, mapping every corridor, every weak point, every crew member's location. The data streamed silently through quantum entanglement to a receiver 30 light-years. Away where humanity's real military genius was analyzing every byte. Admiral Rebecca Torres sat in the command center of the UES Retribution, watching the tactical display update in real time. Unlike Sarah's public record, Torres's very existence was classified at the highest levels. While Sarah had been winning battles, Torres had been winning wars, not through conventional tactics, but through psychological warfare that left enemy civilizations questioning their own superiority. "Nanobots have mapped 97% of their fleet," reported Lieutenant Martinez. "We have full schematics on all 237 vessels." Torres nodded, her weathered face betraying no emotion. "And their morale analysis? Confidence is at maximum. They believe they've struck a decisive blow against humanity. The entire Zephyrian High Command is aboard the flagship, celebrating what they think is their greatest victory." A thin smile crossed Torres's lips. "Then it's time to show them what humanity's greatest victory actually looks like." Aboard the Dominion, Sarah opened her eyes as she felt the subtle vibration of ships dropping out of hyperspace. The Zephyrians felt it too. Alarms began blaring throughout the vessel as sensor operators reported the impossible. A human fleet had somehow found them in the vast emptiness between stars. But this wasn't a rescue mission. It was an execution. The human fleet that materialized around the Zephyrians was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Instead of the bulky industrial designs they expected, these ships were sleek and predatory, their hulls covered in adaptive camouflage that made them nearly invisible against the cosmic background. Each vessel was smaller than a Zephyrian cruiser, but radiated an aura of barely contained lethality. Admiral Kextar's confidence evaporated as his sensors registered the impossible. over 500 human vessels, each one broadcasting energy signatures that suggested weapons technology far beyond what their intelligence had indicated Earth possessed. "How did they find us?" Forth hissed, his scales shifting to a pale yellow of fear. The answer came in the form of a transmission that bypassed their encrypted channels and broadcast directly on every screen throughout their fleet. Admiral Torres appeared, her cold eyes seeming to stare directly at each viewer. "Greetings, Zephyrian Empire," she said, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had never needed to raise it to be obeyed. "You have something that belongs to us. More importantly, you have made the mistake of believing that Commander Chen represents humanity's military capability." Torres paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "Allow me to educate you. Commander Chen is indeed one of our finest soldiers, but she volunteered for this mission knowing it was likely one way. Why? Because humanity has learned something that your empire, in all its arrogance, has failed to grasp: the difference between a warrior and a weapon. On every Zephyrian ship, weapons systems began failing simultaneously. The nanobots had done more than map. They had infiltrated every critical system, awaiting activation codes that Torres now transmitted. "You see warfare as conquest," Torres continued as Zephyrian crews frantically tried to regain control of their vessels. "We see it as evolution. Every battle teaches us. Every enemy makes us stronger. You've been fighting the humanity of 50 years ago while we've been preparing for the war that comes next." Admiral Kextar watched in horror as his mighty fleet became a collection of drifting hulks, their weapons offline, their shields down, their engines dead. Yet the human ships held their fire. "We could destroy you now," Torres said, as if reading his thoughts. "Instead, we're going to give you a choice. Return our soldier unharmed and we'll allow one ship to survive, to carry word back to your empire. Refuse, and we demonstrate why humanity doesn't need to be the biggest or the strongest species in the galaxy. We just need to be the smartest." In her cell, Sarah Chen smiled as she heard the distinctive sound of Zephyrian locks disengaging. Her captors had taken the bait perfectly, and now the trap had sprung. As she stood and straightened her uniform, she reflected on the irony. They had kidnapped Earth's best soldier, not realizing she was just the lure that would deliver their entire fleet to humanity's best strategist. The Zephyrians had learned too late that in the vast chess game of galactic warfare, humans didn't just play to win. They played to teach their enemies why they should never have played at all.